Welcome to a magnificent sight and to a magnificent competition. The Seoul World Cup Stadium and the AFC Champions League Elite. It is match day 4 in the league stage. Our home is this fabulous city of 10 million people. And in 10th place in the league stage, the visitors, Chengdu Rongcheng from the People's Republic of China, hoping to move up the table. FC Seoul are positioned 4 places above them, but the home team are only 1 point stronger than Chengdu Rongcheng. A lot, therefore, could change and probably will change across match day 4 in the East region. This is truly a city that never sleeps. Even more so the case when the Suo-Shin, the guardian deity of the Dark Red Warriors, are in force. When they are making noise, everybody pays attention. FC Seoul have competed 11 times in the AFC Champions League in all of its various incarnations, twice runners-up. They host a team making their debut in continental competition, but a team very much on the rise. Chengdu Rongcheng, a new club, a club without much of a history, but a club in the mood to make history. The visitors are currently 3rd in the Chinese Super League. FC Seoul 5th in K-League 1. The league split 2 matches ago into the top 6 and bottom 6 format. They'll be hoping that the form is completely put to one side in this fixture, the fans of the home team, because FC Seoul have no win in 6 against teams from the People's Republic of China, 2 draws and 4 losses. When they lost on match day 3 at Shanghai Shenhua, that ended a 13-match scoring run in AFC competition. They are not used to failing to find the back of the net. Chengdu Rongcheng have scored themselves only 2 goals in this particular edition of the AFC Champions League Elite. Both of these teams really need a victory to feel comfortable about their place in the top 8. Let's find out what sort of contest we have in store at the beautiful Seoul World Cup Stadium. This magnificent venue opened in 2001. It hosted the semi-final of the FIFA World Cup the following year. That 1-0 win for Germany over the Republic of Korea in their history-making run to the last 4 of the World Cup. We're in the Mapo district of Seoul, one of 25 districts in the city, in the west of Seoul, on the northern bank of the Han River. Mapo, the name of an old ferry that used to cross the Han River, transporting grain from southern provinces. Well, let's see who can transport themselves into the knockout stage of the AFC Champions League Elite. The guardian deity takes charge. The AFC Champions League Elite, the flagship club competition in Asia, the finest clubs in Asia, playing the finest football in Asia, and one of the finest stadia in the world to host this contest, as FC Seoul, veterans of continental competition, host newcomers Chengdu Rongcheng, the team from the People's Republic of China visiting the Republic of Korea, hoping to make history in this competition by making it through to the knockout stage in their debut visit. There's a long way still to go. This is just match day 4 of 8. Both of these teams really need a victory to start to feel confident, to start to feel comfortable, to stand the chance of hearing the AFC Champions League Elite competition anthem playing in their honour in the knockout stage. So let's see here in the league stage who can deliver a knockout performance in the knockout surroundings of the Seoul World Cup Stadium, and this one of the great cities of the world. High-rise buildings, but both of these two teams need to rise higher in the table. The captains, Tim Cho and Jesse Lingard, connected by their association with the north of England, leading their teammates down the line. Kang Hyun-moo keeps goal for FC Seoul. He's the preferred choice in the league, but this is just his second appearance in this season's AFC Champions League Elite. Number 5, Yazan Al-Arab, makes his 4th consecutive appearance since returning for a month out injured and plays in the centre of the defence. Brazilian attacker Anderson Oliveira wears number 70. He hasn't scored a great deal since joining the club, but is always a dangerous creative presence. In reserve for the home team is number 45, Marko Duganjic, who scored in the opening fixture against matchday. In charge of the contest is Nazmi Nasaruddin of Malaysia, the 35-year-old who's been a FIFA referee since 2016 and refereed at the Asian Cup in Qatar. He will be assisted by Sivakon Puodom of Thailand, who is in charge of the video review system. Looking to be a safe pair of hands, or should that be paws, for the team known as the Panda, is Jien Tao. It's an important game for him as he's no longer the first choice goalkeeper in the league. Having an excellent season is central defender Timo Letschert, who wears number 5 and who has played against FC Seoul before during his time at Gwangju. The experienced Gan Chao wears number 39. He's a local lad born in Sichuan province and looking to inject some spice into the visitors' midfield. On the bench for Chengdu Rongcheng is number 7, Wei Shihao. He's yet to play in this competition for Chengdu Rongcheng, but has made nearly 20 appearances in the Champions League for other clubs. It's an enormous stadium, this, a capacity of 67,000. But the home fans never find it difficult to fill it up with noise. They're some of the loudest supporters out there. Match day number 4. FC Seoul in 6th place out of 12. Chengdu Rongcheng below the line, below the cut-off point in 10th of 12. There is Timo Letschert from the Netherlands. Spent 2023 at Gwangju in the Republic of Korea, played twice against FC Seoul, losing both matches. We are moments away from the start of the contest. Hope you're looking forward to this one. It should be a fascinating game. Jesse Lingard, the captain of FC Seoul. Two captains today in their 30s who were born in England. Tim Cho the other. It is time. Welcome one and all, great to have your company. The setting is the Seoul World Cup Stadium and you're watching the AFC Champions League Elite. It's the East region and the league stage, as in possession we have home team FC Seoul. runners-up in 2002 and 2013, taking on newcomers to the continental stage, Chengdu Rongcheng from the People's Republic of China and beautiful Sichuan province. AFC Seoul, known as the Dark Red Warriors, their supporters called the Suoshin, or the Guardian Deity. Chengdu Rongcheng, known as the Panda, for their city is famously home to the giant panda breeding and conservation centre, which is well worth a visit if you ever get the opportunity to go to the city of Chengdu, which is increasingly likely because it's one of the great host cities of sporting competitions. Recently hosted the World Games, hosted the World University Games a couple of years before that. Here's Choi Jun in possession, wears number 16 for FC Seoul, and scored their opening goal against Buriram United. Chengdu Rongcheng will know to be vigilant for him, making a move forward from the defence. He's an extremely intelligent and physically fit, pacey fullback who started his career as a winger and can still function as one when he needs to. For those of you interested in the etymology of the teams, Rongcheng means hibiscus. It translates as Hibiscus City because that is one of the nicknames of Chengdu. Does well, Yazan Al-Arab. They're delighted to have him back after an injury spell. Missed a month from the end of September to the end of October. Here's Choi Jun. Was well charged down. Kim Gi-dong, the gentleman in charge. Champions League winner in 2009 as a player. 400 plus appearances for two clubs in the Republic of Korea from 1991 to 2011. A very accomplished and well-regarded midfielder. Just looking over his shoulder and going back to Jiantao was Li Yang, who wears number 22 for Chengdu Rongcheng. Good burst forward from Gerfinkel, the Israeli, and sensibly cushioned by Kim Jin-soo back to Kang Hyun-moo, who played in the loss at Shanghai Shenhua and who has been the preferred goalkeeper in the league. Played many more times than last season. Only 13 appearances in the previous campaign, but 28 this season. Lee Sung-mo. Here he is again, wears number 8 for FC Seoul from Paju, which is one of the satellite cities surrounding Seoul. There are many of them. Just had a glimpse there of that run forwards on the right from Choi Jun, and Lee Sung-mo acknowledged that he could have played it to him. Lingard, very important creative presence for FC Seoul. There he is, Choi Jun, desperate to get forward. Played in by Lee Sung-mo and comfortably into the arms of Jiantao. One of the interesting dynamics of this match will be whether a player like Yahav Gerfinkel can get a little space down the left wing if Choi Jun is overly enthusiastic about getting forwards, but he is very good at covering his own ground. He's very good at going back and retrieving the space that he's opened up. But Gerfinkel, the gentleman with the headband, will be looking to exploit that. On the subject of exploiting things, here's a chance for Jong Sung-won. Now back with Lee Sung-mo. Is Hwang Do-yeon, who has spent his whole career at the club. Very hard-working player in the defensive portion of the pitch. Just to give you the lay of the land once again, FC Seoul 6th out of 12 teams, Chengdu Rongcheng 10th. Yazan Al-Arab, the Jordanian who joined the club midway through last season from a short spell in Qatar. Here he is in his 4th consecutive appearance since that return from injury. Played back by Anderson Oliveira, the experienced Brazilian. They're holding the ball pretty effectively early on, FC Seoul. .40 is Park Song-hun, centre-back who came up through the youth team. He's played quite a lot recently, 12 appearances in the league. Well, one wonders what sort of emotions and memories he's been experiencing in the build-up to this match. So Jung-won from the Republic of Korea, but the head coach of Chengdu Rongcheng, something of a legend of the game in this country. 88 appearances for the national team between 1990 and 2001. He actually started his career at the Anyang Cheetahs. And there is a great association, which I'll come back to later, between Anyang and FC Seoul, a complicated association. Because FC Seoul had to move out of Seoul for a period to Anyang, 21 kilometers away, in the 1990s. And it was during that time that So Jung-won was playing for the aforementioned Anyang Cheetahs. Now the renamed team, FC Seoul, has established its great legacy since moving back to the capital. And he's gone on to establish his own legacy. He spent 5 years at the Blue Wings, the big rivals of Seoul, managed them, took over at Chengdu in 2021. So it's a very interesting narrative when you look at the two managers, both of them from the Republic of Korea. Nazmi Nasaruddin saying to Jian Tao, let's have better housekeeping arrangements, please. Bullet off the ball was Hu He Tao, the number 2 for Chengdu Rongcheng. One back with ferocity though by Yahav Gurfinkel. Zhong Sung-won looking for a chance to cross. It's been cut out, still with Zhong Sung-won, all a little bit chaotic. Choi Jun. Not a bad ball, needed somebody to seize control of it. Chon couldn't quite. Jesse Lingard, captain of FC Seoul, born in Warrington in the north of England. Tim Cho, the captain of Chengdu Rongcheng, born in Wigan, also in the north of England. Represents Chinese Taipei. It's all a little messy. The ball not being well controlled over the last few minutes. Lots of exchanges of possession, lots of turnovers. Lots of moments like that, really. As we look at the experienced Gan Chao. And there is the gentleman I was just referencing, Tim Cho, who joined Chengdu Rongcheng in 2022. His second club in China. He was at Henan Songshan Longman before that. Anderson Oliveira, who just runs into a whole host of visiting defenders. If you are just switching on and joining this contest, not a great deal to report so far. A lack of clear chances, a lack really of organised and efficient attacking construction from either team. A good atmosphere and a lot at stake, and maybe that explains the start of the match, because both of these teams lost on match day 3. FC Seoul started with a 1-1 draw at Matchday Zelvia, then beat Buriram United at home. That was a 3-0 win, very good win, and then they lost 2-0 at Shanghai Shenhua. Chengdu lost 2-1 at Ulsan HD, then beat Gangwon 1-0 at home, and then lost 2-0 at home to Johor Darul Tazim. So although 4 places separates these teams, it's just a single point. It's a little on the risky side from number 16, Yang Minyang, the gentleman who was actually born in Basel in Switzerland. A little flick from Lingard was a way to inject some much-needed surprise and creativity. It didn't quite work, but the idea wasn't a bad one. Forward by Timo Ledshirt, who has had a most imposing season in the Chinese Super League. He's actually scored 5 times in 26 matches. chances again. Oh, goodness, that was a little bit of a let-off. Lingard nearly stole that from him. Just as I was talking about his incredibly imposing season, he hasn't done that sort of thing a great deal. Well, Johan Gerfinkel is fast, but he's not that fast. I think he maybe acknowledged there that the idea was a sound one, and perhaps he could have set off a little earlier. One back by Tim Cho. Here is Gan Chao. Little space for Cho to make a decision. He sensibly goes out to the right wing. Wants it back. Made not a bad run, actually, the captain. Just a little miscommunication, perhaps. He's been good at finding the back of the net over the last couple of seasons, Tim Cho. 5 in the league this campaign, 8 last season. That was the best of his career. Cross from quite deep, looking for Felipe. Intercepted by Cho. Felipe controls it well. That's excellent play from the Brazilian. Now to Gerfinkel. Has to be dealt with by Yazan Al-Arab. Gets it away, and it will be a throw into the visiting team as we look at the gentleman who spent 3.5 years at Gwangju in the Republic of Korea. Took a bit of a beguiling bounce, and I think that Dong Young-fung had a blow to the head unintentionally. Gerfinkel makes the run, and it's another example of a Chengdu Rongcheng player making a decent attacking move and not being spotted. Li Yang, played back by He Tao to Yang Min-yang. Only quite recently did number 16 Yang Min-yang switch to representing the Chinese national team, having represented Switzerland, the nation of his birth. Sensibly played out of defence by Ledschert, looking for Felipe. Here is Romulo, wearing number 10, the Brazilian. There was another run by Gerfinkel. He does get it eventually. He's getting into imposing positions, dangerous ones. You get the sense with the visitors that if they can make better decisions in the midfield, then they've got the chance to really cut through the defence of FC Seoul. Asian Games gold medalist Lee Sung-mo, sending it behind for a corner kick. There is Homolo, another who spent quite a bit of time playing in the Republic of Korea, 3 years at Busanai Park, mostly in the second tier. And he got promoted to the top flight and then dropped from the top flight in the Republic of Korea to China League One in his first season, but was immediately promoted again. That could be a challenging one. Always a danger when you've got Lecce there, when you've got Felipe. Yeah, they really didn't manage to get that away with any great conviction. On the subject of things lacking any great conviction, Garfinkel. Looking more than a touch concerned. There's already a lot of protection around that knee. And I think that the behaviour of the players from both teams around suggests that they are fully sympathetic with the fact that Homolo is obviously in some genuine discomfort. Not a great deal to report as we approach the halfway stage of the first half on match day 4 at the Seoul World Cup Stadium. They will hope that he's okay to continue, but it doesn't look as though he is, and there's no point risking Homolo, who's having his best season in the Chinese Super League since 2022, his first full season at the club. He seemed to know straight away that all was not right. He just sat there very calmly. He was in discussions with his captain. And unfortunately for Homolo and So Jung-won, a change needs to be made. Pedro Delgado is going to come on. Touched on by the head of Li Yang. Now it's with Jong Seung-won. Choi Jun, who made a few decent runs down the right flank early on in the match. He hasn't been able to get hugely involved since then. Not that really anyone has been able to get hugely involved. But I think something that's clear about FC Seoul is that they're capable, as this ball comes in and tests Lecce, does well. That I was going to say, they're capable of putting together a flurry of goals, as many teams have found. Now, Homolo has been replaced, and he's obviously devastated about it. Understandably, as any footballer is when they've got problems related to a knee. And we've got Pedro Delgado, Diagiado, as he is known as a Chinese citizen since 2019. Oh, that was potentially nervy for Jian Tao, the 24-year-old who is from Sichuan province in Guiyangren, the northern gateway to Sichuan, they call it. The same province as the club is based in. Hu Tao couldn't really do anything, having got forwards impressively. Centre-back Park Song-hun out to Choi Jun. And here is Lee Sung-mo. They've had plenty of spells where they've had comfortable control of the ball, FC Seoul. It is yet to translate into a corporeal opportunity. And if they can test Jian Tao, that will be a very good thing, because he's a goalkeeper who needs to impress. He's lost his place as the first choice in the league. Sometimes you can find players, particularly goalkeepers, rather anxious when they are playing in continental competitions as not the first choice in the league. Well, that was really risky from Yazan Al-Arab. All ultimately comes to nothing, but yes, I'm sure you saw him holding up his hand in very clear apology. Somewhat uncharacteristic decision. Felipe. Now that was really well done by Yazan Al-Arab. Great defending, came forward to attack Felipe. Anderson Oliveira. Nice footwork, finds Chon. Choi Jun. Lingard. Who is going to really test the opposition goalkeeper? And are we going to have that happen before the half-time interval? This has the atmosphere of a big match that really matters, where both of these teams are very cognizant of their not entirely wholesome position in the league table. Sometimes matches like this can just go from first gear to fifth gear, cutting out all in between when somebody gets the initial goal. Felipe, a little bit of flair to Gan Chao, and Gan Chao's cross is not a bad one, looking for Tim Cho, but Kang Hyun-moo was well positioned, as you'd expect from somebody of his stature and experience. Needed to get that a little closer to the edge of the 6-yard box. First time really that a Chengdu Rongcheng player has had a little freedom down the right wing. There have been moments down the left. Certainly a little tug on Kim Jin-soo as we look at the fullback who joined the club at the start of the season. And who has played already 34 times in the league for them. Was at Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors before. 2 spells there. He's played in a couple of other countries in Asia. Well, I don't know quite how Choi-jin has managed to escape with control of the ball. That really is bordering on the fanciful. I told you that he was a hard worker. We haven't had many highlight reel moments in the first half, but that, just from a sheer diligence point of view, was one of them. Went to Hyundai High School, and he was a left winger there. Switched to fullback at Yonsei University. Hence why he's got a sort of innate desire to get forward, and why he's a very good crosser. He's from Ulsan, which is in the far southeast of the country, long way away from Seoul. Very much the industrial heartland of the Republic of Korea. He Tao, who spent his whole career at the club. Li Yang. It was just a glimpse of a chance maybe to get that ball into the FC Seoul penalty area. Instead they have to go back. Shirt to Yang Min-yang. We are closing in on the half-time interval, still with a lack of clear goal-scoring moments. Is that going to change in the last 10 or so minutes? Here is Jong Seung-won, plays it to Lee Sung-mo. Jong Seung-won is a winner of the AFC Under-23 Championship. And his teammate Yazan Al-Arab was part of the Jordan team that so extraordinarily made the final of the senior AFC Asian Cup in Qatar last year. Qatar at the moment hosting the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, which got underway yesterday. And on the bench for FC Seoul is a player by the name of Bae Hyun-so, a fullback who just came back from the Under-20 World Cup a couple of weeks ago. Felipe. Not a bad show of physical strength, but Yazan Al-Arab was very calm and very assured. did perhaps take a little too long, FC Seoul, to get that ball out of their own defence. Felipe, the man from Teresina in Piauí State in Brazil. It's the only capital in the northeast of Brazil that's not on the Atlantic coast. Now, here is Diaghiero. Is the counter-attack on here for FC Seoul? Lingard makes the run. This might be the chance. It's just wide and over the bar from Jesse Lingard. But a good counter from FC Seoul. Real sense of purpose in the attack for the first time. In the end, it really was comfortably high and wide. But it was something, at least it was something. He said a while ago that his daughter Hope, who still lives in the UK, plays football computer games as FC Seoul, scoring as many goals as she can, specifically with him. Probably one of those situations where she gets into goal-scoring positions with other players and then just waits and waits and waits for her dad to arrive on the screen, passes it to him. It's obviously been a very difficult thing, the move so far away from home for Jesse Lingard, but he's spoken with enormous affection for how he's developed physically and mentally since going to the club. Had some very interesting comments to make early on about learning to cope with the humidity and the very thick heat that one gets in this part of the world at certain times of the year. He said actually in the first game, within a couple of minutes, he felt like he'd been running for the entirety of the match already. But obviously, as an elite athlete, he learned to adjust his body coped. He's changed the way that he trains, and he regards himself as a very much more three-dimensional footballer because of coming here. Sung-mo quickly moves it on to Choi Jun. But those dangerous moments from FC Seoul and indeed from Chengdu Rongcheng have been few and far between. And we have just about 5 minutes plus a small amount of additional time until we get to the interval. Gerfinkel. They might conjure something out of this position. Gerfinkel, again, not able to get a cross in, and that was just a little too close to Kang Hyun-moo from Hertao. Choi Jun. He was part of the Republic of Korea team that won the Asian Games gold medal in China, in Hangzhou in 2023, the delayed games. And there's also Lee Sung-mo in the team, who won gold in the edition before that in Jakarta, Palembang. And they've got Kim Jin-soo, who won gold in Incheon in the Republic of Korea in 2014. Just a little reminder of the incredible legacy in the Asian Games that the under-23 team of the Republic of Korea has established. Almost. Lingard making a decent run. And the big question is, can the Republic of Korea turn that under-23 domination into senior success at the AFC Asian Cup? Oh dear. What needless confrontation between Lingard and Ledschert. All a little on the daft side. Fortunately for both teams, not enormously consequential. Referee just having a clear and forceful word with the two of them. Gone against the home team, and we're closing in on the halfway point of this match. I'm sure there are many FC Seoul fans out there who remember that the first trophy that Seo Jung-won won as a manager was the 2016 FA Cup in the Republic of Korea, where his Blue Wings team beat Seoul 10-9 on penalties after a 3-3 draw over 2 legs. Hugely dramatic and fascinating cup final. We look over the shoulder of Diagiador, Pedro Delgado, who's on loan from Shandong Taishen. He's been in the People's Republic of China since 2018, having been born in Portimão in Portugal. Chong Sung-won just thumps it forward, really looking for Chon Song-hoon, who we barely had occasion to talk about. There was a moment there where Tim Cho might have threaded it through to Felipe. Choi-jun. Good powerful leap from Ledschert. 2 additional minutes, that's all to be played. And one imagines some changes are impending. Rather aimless flick away, and a chance for Chengdu Rongcheng to get an attack in right before the end of the first half. Ledschert has come forward, Wondered if he was going to thump that. He will thump it. Well, sad to say, that is one of the more memorable moments of the first half. But if you are going to make it through the league stage of a competition as tough as the AFC Champions League Elite, you're not going to win every single game delivering elegant and poetic performance. You're not going to write yourself into the history book with every single attack that you construct. Sometimes you'll win matches in somewhat parochial fashion. Sometimes you'll just hold on and get a tough away draw. One has to be pragmatic. Maybe this is one of those days. Or maybe it's a day for an individual to do something stylish and out of character of the rest of the game. We'll find out as we go into the second half. Tao looks for a decent crossing opportunity. He's found Felipe! Well blocked by Yazan Al-Arab. Good ball that from Hu. Straight towards the feet of Felipe. Very comfortable turning and shooting in that sort of position, but good stewardship in the defence from Al-Arab. Corner kick that might be the last opportunity. We arrive at half-time with little to report and with a sense that things will change in the second half. Absence of clear chances, presence of a great deal of tension in this hugely important match day 4 of the AFC Champions League Elite. At half-time, it's FC Seoul 0, Chengdu Rongcheng 0.
안테나 여기다 놨어? 안 돼, 여기다 무조건 빼야 돼. 처럼 무조건 빼야 돼. 왜냐면은 여기 있으면은 바지나 누가 저기서 나도 무조건 절로 빼자.
The very warmest of welcomes to you indeed, as we are witnessing a substitution taking place at the start of the second half in this meeting between FC Seoul and Chengdu Rongcheng. Chengdu Rongcheng has come on, replacing Hu He-tao, and we're also going to see Ryu Jae-moon. So a very experienced player in Ryu Jae-moon coming on, midfielder who joined the club last year from Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. In contrast, a very exciting young prospect, already a fairly experienced member of the team, particularly the reserve team. He scored 5 goals in League 2 this season, also 1 in the Super League for the senior squad. Big opportunity really for Chengdu Rongcheng. Chance to really change the match, and it needs somebody to step forward and change it. One of the things that has been dependable is the atmosphere. We are underway in the second half for FC Seoul and Chengdu Rongcheng, in front of vocal supporters, the guardian deity of FC Seoul at the World Cup Stadium. No score, nothing for them to really shout about. But we confirm that Hwang Do-yeon has been replaced, as early on there was a little pressure put on Timo Letchert. Hwang Do-yeon replaced by Ryu Jae-moon, and we've also said a farewell to Hu He-tao, replaced by Chengdu Rongcheng. Chengdu Rongcheng will be a creative and energetic addition to the match. Al-Arab plays it out to Kim Jin-soo on the left. Here's the substitute, Ryu Jae-moon, who's closing in on 50 appearances for the club. And this is his 21st appearance in AFC Continental competition. Neither goalkeeper troubled in the first half. One imagines something will change, because this is a match of such consequence for both of these teams. They're neither side in a comfortable position in the league table. And at close of play here, we find ourselves halfway through the league stage of the 2025-2026 AFC Champions League Elite. Rather wayward from Kang Hyun-moo, and here is the substitute, Chengdu Rongcheng. Felipe gets contact, but not contact that he probably knew a great deal about, couldn't guide it. Came to him from Yahav Gurfinkel. Played away, but only as far as Timo Letchert by Sung-mo. Gan Chao. Cho, back to the well-forward Letchert. This is more intense from Chengdu Rongcheng, much more intense. Yahav Gurfinkel joined the club last year for his first spell playing in Asia. Mostly has played in Israel, but had brief spell at Norrköping in Sweden. A lot for them to contemplate. How aggressively do they try to engineer a change? How much do they disregard caution and really attack 3 points? Or how much are they content just to hold a draw until the latter stages of the game? Knowing for both of these teams that a win could be so transformative to their Champions League Elite campaign, but a loss could be equally transformative. Ryu Jae-moon. Has gone behind. It will be an FC Seoul ball. Sense of an impact being made by a substitute Liu. Couldn't keep it in play, Ganchao. Actually, looks like he did manage to just about prevent the corner kick. So it will be five-time K-League winner Kim Jin-soo with the throw. He slips, but still actually managed to get it to Anderson Oliveira, and that's curled by Lee Sung-mo. It's already, in the first 5 minutes, a little more purposeful than it was in the first half. It's not a revolution, but it's an evolution. Gradually the game is increasing in ferocity, and there is Choi Jun, finally able to get forwards, finally able to get into a crossing position, not able to find his captain, but that is the Choi Jun that the FC Seoul fans know and love. This is more like it all around. The level of noise increases in the home of the six-time K-League champions. Lee Sung-mo. Space and time for Jong Seung-won, who decided to go back to Ryu. Choi Jun looks as though he's been given the instruction to get back to being his normal self and to be more aggressive down the right. And that is yielding more opportunities that soon, one imagines, will translate into a shot on target for the home team. FC Seoul will go to Shanghai Port for their next game, match day number 5. Chengdu Rongcheng will host Sanfrecce Hiroshima. Finkel. He's now got Chengdu Rongcheng alongside him on the left. And Liao does try to find Gerfinkel, a little bit heavy the pass, but they keep the ball out to Gan Chao on the right. Captain Cho, and yes, didn't get that at all right with Felipe. Cleverly, quickly played on by Lingard, and just not able to get that into a position to use the ball. Chon Song-hoon, who's had a rather quiet affair. There are other attacking options for FC Seoul should the head coach Kim Gi-dong wish to really change the dynamic of the attack. The most obvious one will be Marko Dugandzic, but he hasn't scored for 6 matches. There's also Lucas. Choi Young-wook is on the bench as well. Choi Jung couldn't get beyond Yahav Gerfinkel, who's having to be a lot busier defensively now than he was in the first half. Liu, good idea, just overhit it with Jong Sung-won the target. Felipe's a million miles offside, has to wait, get back into position, which he has done. Looking to cross, and in the end just gifts it really to Anderson Oliveira. Nicely done by Anderson Oliveira. Lingard making the run is Lee Sung-mo. Now it's with Lingard. Lingard out to Anderson Oliveira. What can he do? He does test the defence, but it's put behind by Ledshad. Corner kick, not a bad outcome, but far from the desired one. But it's a lot better for FC Seoul. And they know it. And they are optimistic that right in front of them, the ball is going to go in soon. Well, there's a very dissatisfied Nasbi Nasruddin, who's had enough of waiting for the situation to resolve itself and has told Liao and Zhong to improve their behaviour. The corner kick is intercepted by Felipe. Plays it laterally to Kim Jin-soo. He's playing his 35th appearance in the AFC Champions League Elite. All of the previous ones before this season coming across 6 campaigns for Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. We're close to the 1 hour mark of this meeting between FC Seoul and Chengdu Rongcheng. Still, there is no score. Still, there hasn't really been a save made by a goalkeeper, but we're getting closer to a transformative moment. FC Seoul look more likely, but that may give the team in white the opportunity to counter. And he might be at the heart of it if they do. As indeed might the substitute, Liao. Felipe. The angle isn't conducive, tried to pull it back, sensible idea looking for Didiador. Li Yang goes back to goalkeeper Jian Tao. Felipe uses his strength effectively. What a nice ball that was, out to the left for Gerfinkel. And tracking back with effectiveness was Jong Seung-won, but a very good ball to the Israeli. This campaign, the first time that Gerfinkel has actually played in senior continental football. He appeared several times in the UEFA Youth League for Maccabi Haifa about a decade ago. Now Letchert and Felipe will both be very clear targets. They've both got real presence. Li Yang as well could be problematic, and it was Felipe. Yazan Al-Arab was trying to get close to him. He's got a great deal of physical strength. That was pretty decently defended by Al-Arab. Although Felipe made contact, there wasn't much chance of him doing damage from that sort of angle. That's a great effort from Gerfinkel. Possession recovered by FC Seoul. It's interesting the impact that Ryu has had in the centre of midfield. We haven't necessarily talked a huge amount about him, but he appears to have brought the stability to the centre of the midfield to allow for a bit more to happen on the wings. Just played a little behind Kim Jin-soo, and that ground to a halt an already stalling attack. Nonetheless, FC Seoul appear to be the more likely team to break through. Famous last words and all that. Lee Sung-mo. Now with Lingard from Anderson Oliveira, who has it back. That's a nice bit of play. Anderson Oliveira, well saved by Jian Tao. A goalkeeper at last tested, and he passed it very handsomely. But this was impressive football. And that was more than half a chance for FC Seoul. It's that wonderful pass on the right foot of Jong Seung-won. Great understanding between the two players. And certainly Jian Tao would have expected himself to save it. They made it look very simple. Played 23 times in the league last season, Jian Tao, but just 2 in this campaign. So that's why, as I mentioned earlier, it's so significant, one feels, that he has a good game today, that he performs well in these Champions League matches. It's his third appearance of the Champions League Elite campaign. Touched on to Felipe. Cho couldn't bring it under control. Little flashes of danger on the counter from the team in white. Cho wanted it played over the top by Ledschert. Not sure that it was an easy ball for the centre-back to find. It may be that when one scrutinises the substitutes, that Kim Gi-dong has got more that he can change from an attacking point of view, and that FC Seoul perhaps have more in reserve. That's yet to be fully tested, of course. Well, to wit, no surprise at all that we're seeing particularly Cho Young-uk and Moon Son-min. So it is, again, probably not a great surprise that we bid farewell to Chon Song-hoon, who's not really been able to create a presence in this match, and Lee Sung-mo departs. So now a very clear sense of greater attacking focus to the match with the removal of Lee. Cho Young-uk from Seoul, spent his whole career at the club, and he scored 7 times in the league this season. Real improvement from the 4 goals that he produced in the previous campaign. So far, Al Arab is getting the upper hand in his duel with Felipe. Both of the substitutes, by the way, Seoul-born. Moon Son-min, the winger who's come on wearing number 27. Joined the club this season after a 6-year spell at Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. And he scored, here he is in possession now, 6 goals in the league. Not the most compelling of first contributions from him, but he's going to be a very lively addition to the attack. He's a good winger. It is likely that that change, bringing on Cho and Moon, is going to result in a bit more space and a little bit more intensity to the FC Seoul front line. Moon tried to pick it up and dart forwards, but it just wasn't happening. Rather heavy collision. FC Seoul have a player down. Here is Gan Chao, and he crosses quite impressively, actually, looking for Felipe, but Al Arab was so well positioned. That will be a goal kick. teams are so compact at this stage of the AFC Champions League Elite 2025-2026. When you look at the league table, you've got FC Seoul in 6th place on 4 points. That is a somewhat vulnerable position to be in, but top of the table on 7 points, Ulsan HD. So 1 win for FC Seoul, and everything looks completely different. Likewise for Chengdu Rongcheng, they are 10th on 3 points, but you've got 2 teams on 6 points in 2nd and 3rd position. That's why there is this very tense feel to the match, and why it seems at the moment that not losing it has been the dominant focus, not letting it slip away early on. Now we're going to have our first yellow card. That's shown to Kim Jin-soo. We're now at the stage of the match, certainly, where FC Seoul are focusing on getting the match won. Well, Kim Gi-dong is rather astonished that that was given as a foul, let alone the yellow card being shown. And shown it was to 33-year-old Kim Jin-soo. Played at the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Felipe down, intimating a high boot from Yazan Al-Arab. Referee allows the play to continue. Lingard out to Anderson Oliveira. Little sense of raggedness to the game. Plenty of chance here for Moon to cross. He doesn't really make the most of it. Nonetheless, it's a dangerous-looking right wing now with Choi Jun and Moon Son-min. Factoring in additional time, probably just over 20 minutes to play. Still FC Seoul 0, Chengdu Rongcheng 0. Sung-won back to Yazan Al-Arab, who goes out to the left for the recently yellow-carded Kim Jin-soo. Enormous amounts of possession for the home team, as we've seen for much of the match. And again, that sense of raggedness prevails. Jung Sung-won, who played in a couple of campaigns in the Champions League for Daegu. Now, can Felipe chase this down? He can chase it down. He can chase it down. It's Felipe to put it in. FC Seoul 0, Chengdu Rongcheng 1. We're just waiting for confirmation of the goal. But Felipe taking advantage. Yahav Gurfinkel was lively, got to the ball first. Did he commit a foul? That's the question. Certainly finished it very impressively for his... No, it's not counted. There we go. Did seem a little confusion after the ball was put in. Initially, looked as though it had been given as a goal. I was about to say his third goal of this season's AFC Champions League Elite, but not given. Well, let's have a look back at it. Gets beyond Jong Sung-won, but is considered to have been excessively forceful in doing it. Well, that's why. That's really good officiating. Saw the clear pull of the shirt. But it was an unclear aftermath, wasn't it, to the goal? The goal that never was. No doubt that he committed a foul. But that, a great warning to FC Seoul, because they have looked the more likely of the two teams to actually score. But then with that gentleman who's in possession, Yahav Gurfinkel, you've got somebody who can engineer a counter-attack, and with Felipe you've got somebody who can be opportunistic. Lead shirt, well forward, that's an interesting change to the dynamic. Found himself really on the verge of dancing into the penalty area, the centre-back, who has demonstrated that he is perfectly comfortable putting the ball into the back of the net. 7 goals in all competitions for the club since joining last year. He did score 2 in the 3-0 win over Bangkok United. That playoff win that Chengdu Rongcheng had to get to the league stage itself, and in doing so to continue their first appearance in continental competition. A discussion going on between the players as to the shape of the last moments of this match. Flick on attempted by a substitute, Cho Young-wook. Hasn't really had much that he can hang his hat on at the moment. Much like Chon Song-hun, he hasn't seen a great deal of the ball. A little bit of risk there taken by number 19, Dong Young-fung, taking it out of defence. Back with Rongcheng in the FC Seoul goal. He's had a quiet game. Not that Jian Tao's had a hugely busy one, but he did have to make that save from Anderson Oliveira. Felipe, is he onside? Out to gather it, almost to gather it. Well, it's a little on the cavalier side from Kang, but it worked. I think it was offside pretty clearly anyway, and that's been confirmed. And we're now going to see another attacking change as Anderson Oliveira is replaced by another Brazilian, Lucas. The best attacking moment of the match has come from him. He now is replaced by a player who scored against Buriram. Might have been a use of the hand by Lucas, but the referee had a better view than certainly we did. Space created for Kim Jin-soo. Finds Lingard. Goes back to Kim Jin-soo. Can he create a decent cross? He can, and it goes over the top from Moon Son-min. Into the last 10 minutes of regulation time. Not hugely easy to take that ball for the substitute Moon Son-min. It was bouncing right as he came to strike it. Twice K-League winner, also an FA Cup winner with Jeonbuk. Trying to control it and get away from Ledger, but with no success. Lucas. Lingard. Back to Kim. It's with Al-Arab. As they're forced to yet again try to construct something from right at the back. It feels really now that the strategy for Chengdu Rongcheng is just to consolidate defensively and then try to steal a counter, which they have got the sort of players to do that with. And he's one of them. Gurfinkel showing strength. Can he make a good decision? In the end, played it a little behind Tim Cho. But if there is a counter to come, it will likely be from the boot of Yahav Gurfinkel. Again, Al-Arab victorious over Felipe. Tim Cho to Diajado. Gurfinkel, as the run was made optimistically by Liao Rongcheng. He hasn't been able to contribute much so far, the young man from Chengdu who celebrated his 21st birthday a week ago. Choi Jun down. Had a spell of 5-10 minutes or so where he He looked as though he was going to be the architect of a clear chance for FC Seoul. He hasn't been able to be as vicious from the right as he often is. It's good coverage coming back by Choi Jun. Looks to be okay after that discomfort that he was feeling a moment ago after a collision. Cho had to move it on quickly. There was a little pressure put on him, and that was sufficient for FC Seoul to recover the ball. That's a late challenge from Dijiado. No doubt that Dijiado, Pedro Delgado, was late there, and he earns a yellow card. John to substitute Lucas. We are close to the end of the contest. Hasn't been the hoped-for transformation from either team that their supporters were expecting perhaps to see in the second half. Maybe it will come now with Moon. Moon's cross, Lucas jumps, really well defended by Lechet. Now it's with Gerfinkel to Felipe. Will the game open up a touch? Cho quickly moves it out to the right wing. Space now for Gan Chao. And he keeps the run going, but his touch was heavy. And it all rather petered out, as has happened quite a bit in this match. This is good from Moon. And he too is stopped by Timo Lechet, who has demonstrated his credentials, just as Yazan Al-Arab has. Gerfinkel has a bit of open space, but that closed down quickly. Point will be certainly nothing to turn the nose up at for either team. A win much more desirable, particularly for Chengdu Rongcheng, lurking as they are outside of the top 8. It seems they're going to bring on Wei Shihao to do exactly that, go in pursuit of a win. And he's been in very good form in the Chinese Super League. Kim Jin-soo. Little slip from Lingard. Felipe, rather on his own, did cleverly find Dijiado. All lacked shape, didn't it, from the visiting team? Here's Lingard almost through, out of nowhere. Very close, but he may have just been offside. Very close to being one-on-one. Well, having come on as a substitute at half-time, now Chengdu Rongcheng is departing to be replaced by Wei Shihao, the 30-year-old who was born in Anhui province in inland East China. Joined the club last season. It's his 4th club in the country. First time that he's actually played in the Champions League in any of its forms since the 2023-2024 campaign for Wuhan Three Towns. He won't have a huge amount of time to change things. Here he is. And there he was. Definitely a foul, as rather irritated Choi Chun was close to reacting. Just a moment of ferocity, though, from Wei Shihao, trying to find a chance to cross. He's a very good player, Wei Shihao, twice a domestic Golden Boot winner. Three additional minutes have begun. Will either of these teams find a way to snatch 3 points from a game that seems to have been destined to be a draw from the very beginning? It will be a joyous conclusion for someone, as an infuriating conclusion for the other. And credit as ever to the FC Seoul supporters, who've been magnificently vocal, musical, percussive as they always are. And vocal in a different way there, cross with the referee's decision. Jesse Lingard asking, how was it a foul? Little point in having a conversation about it now, with so little time left. Just under a minute and a half to play. Long from Ledshirt. Oh, they've left that for Gerfinkel. Had to be hooked clear by Al Arab, and the shot is a moment of concern. A real moment of concern for FC Seoul. Substitute Wei Shihao looked as though he was about to bend that one in. In the end, it was an easy one for Kang to see wide. Now at the other end, with possibly the last opportunity of the match, here is Jong Sung-won. Lucas. He's stopped in his tracks. Very authoritative today has been the performance of Timo Ledshirt, as we expected it to be. This surely is the last opportunity. It needs to go forward with some purpose, but it isn't really. Headed away. What about now from New? No, there's no time left. And it is a goalless draw in the Seoul World Cup Stadium. It's a draw that does little to ease the concerns of either of these teams when looking at the league table. We're at the halfway stage now in the AFC Champions League Elite East Region League stage. And there is much work to be done for both of these two teams in the second portion of this very difficult competition, because at full time at the Seoul World Cup Stadium it finishes FC Seoul 0, Chengdu Rongcheng 0.
Okay. Thank you.